A very good evening to everybody. Today we have a feather in a cap, another feather in a cap, Mr. Amardeep Singh, and we call him Amar. So I'll be talking about what his journey was with us, how he excelled in this field and got an excellent band score of 8.5, which means the second highest in the world on that particular day. And trust me, there are very few people getting 8.5 in the world. 9 is extremely rare, but 8.5 is equally rare. It's equally rare. If I talk about his score, it is 9 bands in reading, 9 in listening, 7 in writing, and 8 in speaking, which makes it overall 8.5, which is absolutely a marvelous score. So I'll give you all a chance to speak to him, to write your questions on the chat box here, and he'll be answering them for you. But first of all, let me and he talk so that you understand what are we talking about. All right, now over to Amar. Amar, tell us something about yourself.
So, as already told that I have scored this many score in IELTS, and by nature, I'm quite an introvert personality. So I like to live by myself, browsing on my laptop most of the time. But it's not that I do just pass time on laptop. In fact, some of my most productive times I spend browsing random articles on laptop, reading a thing about a thread that I'm interested in, delving deep into it, or watching a random YouTube video, just spilling out facts into my mind. As of my qualifications, I've recently cleared my grade 12th in commerce stream with a decent score of 80%, and I yearn to pursue a career in commerce only in my higher studies.
Okay, Amar, you are 18. You just turned 18, right?
Yes, sir.
And you are from which school?
I'm from Springdale Senior School.
That's in Amritsar?
Yes, that's in Amritsar.
You completed your 10th also from there?
From there only.
All right. And what did you score in your 12th?
My 12th score was 80%, around 80%. It was 80
Around
point
80.
something. I don't remember the exact figure.
Approximately 80%,
80.
right? And your IELTS is so great. How did you manage to score an 8.5 in IELTS? Like, have you been doing it from your childhood? Like, what? Like, how did you score it?
It was not that, but I would say that okay, this is not some sort of a bragging, but English really came naturally to me given my upbringing and all sorts of hobbies that I've had in past. As I just said, I really like reading random articles and spilling my mind with facts. Those are generally some English videos or similar videos that just make me more familiar to the language, to the Western world, exposing me to the Western world, so the language and the culture is not alien to me. And therefore, I was quite easily able to express myself as in the speaking and writing section and look through the facts in the listening and reading sections. It was just like I was not focusing on doing stuff in English. My main focus was doing the stuff in general. The English part was effortless.
Exactly, exactly.
Right.
That's a wonderful thing. So, what do you like to read?
I'm quite choosy about the material that I like to watch or read. It's basically started off with a self-help book by Mark Manson, which was quite a good kickstart. And in fact, it really made me interested in reading different genres of book. Recently, I'm into science fiction and ancient Indian stories. I just picked up a book on Mahabharata, and I've read the Vanamali's Panchatantra as well. So these are the kind of genres I'm interested in these days. Otherwise, any thread that I'm interested in, I like to delve deep into it, maybe on internet or in various books.
So, you like to do the research work a lot.
Yeah, I like to do the research a lot. It's just like I like to skim through material. I only look for the information that I'm interested in. It's not like I read through the complete articles or the complete books. I just skim through the pieces of threads that I'm interested in really.
Right. And what is your view about listening? How do you practice your listening? Because reading is a different skill altogether. What about listening? Do you watch a lot of Netflix or do you listen to a lot of English songs?
Not neither of both actually. I'm least interested in watching web series or songs, but it's really that, as I said, I like to watch the content of my interest in mostly English language because those are the videos where the information is quite actually authentic. The native videos, unfortunately, however, but Indian videos are not that much informative. They are locked with biases and personal experiences of people. But the Western researches, maybe a video by NASA or WHO, that really helps me delve deep into the authentic information of the topic at hand that I'm
So
interested in.
you don't believe in WhatsApp University?
No, not at all. In fact, I've seen a lot of my relatives pouring such pieces of knowledge, if we quote so, into these WhatsApp university classes, but I refrain and tell my parents as well to refrain from such pieces of information.
So how many friends do you have?
Um, it's not that I have a big social circle, but all of the friends, however limited in number I have, they are quite good by heart and they're really encouraging and positive people that I love to hang around. It's about a circle of 10 to 15 people I generally interact with and not much. I like to speak to other people. It's not that I despise having any sort of conversation, but yeah, I am an ambivert of sorts, if you
You're an
can say.
ambivert person. So you would consider yourself to be more of an introvert as compared to being an
Yeah,
ambivert.
on that spectrum, I'm more towards
On the
the
ambivert
introvert
side.
side. Yeah.
On the ambivert side. Okay. How long did you do the coaching with Webberz?
I took up a 2-month course because I really need to familiarize myself with the rules of the exam. Having already knowing the English subject is not the only thing to crack IELTS exam, because it's the rules of for any examination for that on that note that help the person clear an examination. So the rules were quite important to accomplish mission IELTS, if you can say so.
Right. So let's talk about section by section. First section is writing. So tell us something about your writing.
My writing in the beginning when I joined the course, that was about just spelling out facts that I had about the topic at hand. It was not well formatted. I didn't really like to introduce a topic. I just started away by giving out my opinion or what the facts say about the topic and giving out real life examples about the topic. But then slowly but surely, I was guided about the proper format that was actually applicable in the IELTS exam for actually organizing the information and pouring it in such a way that the article has some impact and the accuracy of words was really focused on. So that is how I really improved my
So
writing.
it became more structured with time.
Exactly. So
It was non-structured, it became more structured with time. The
exactly.
second section which comes up is called listening. So
Yes.
let us talk about the listening section. How many multiple choice questions did you have in the listening section?
For me, I don't remember if I have any multiple choice questions. There were a couple multiple choice questions, but they were mostly fill in the blanks or maps.
Fill in the blanks or maps. So basically it was a single letter choice answers.
It was on one section it was 2 word, and on other it was majorly there was this section of naming the headings of the, oh sorry, that wasn't reading. I believe a 2 word answer came up and a map came up, that's all.
Map came up,
Yeah.
right? So what was the strategy that you used for the maps? Because people really struggle with the maps here.
Mhm. It's just that I really like to look through the map specifically. I skim through the question paper before the listening even begins. I like to check what are the various spots on the map that is given to me, and I like to. It really helps me memorize what I would be focusing on while actually listening to the audio that is being played.
Okay. So do you have a strategy for multiple choice questions in listening?
Um, Not really. It actually, I just, if at all, I just read all the choices before, as I said, through the skimming period only. That helps me remember what I need to focus on while listening to the audio.
Right. So let's go to reading section now, right? So tell us something about your reading section. You got a perfect score of 9. People are struggling here for 6.
Right.
So what strategy did you use for reading? What was your strategy every day?
Right. So initially, I would say that I was able to mark correct answers on my answer sheets for reading, but I wasn't able to complete them on time. It was that I delved too deep for each and every answer. I delved too deep into the paragraph and I was just lost in various points and I just lost the question altogether. But then gradually I learned various tricks like skimming through the article for each and every answer and not reading it again and again for attempting every single question. So skimming through the article and finding the keywords regarding the question was really a key here. And I followed that through my IELTS exam as well.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you 3 specific question types. The first is true, false, not given, or yes, no, not given. What strategy did you use in that?
In that case, sir, I generally do like to read the whole paragraph because that gives me the context of what the writer is trying to convey and what the various perspectives laid down are. So after reading that whole paragraph, the true false not given to me becomes quite obvious. I don't need to read the paragraph again. The answers just come up by themselves if this information is given or it's contradicting the information in paragraph or it's not given at all.
So your strategy is understanding this context.
Exactly.
Okay, my second type of question is headings. What strategy do you use in that?
In this, I like to use the way of skimming, as I just mentioned, because heading is just describing the whole paragraph in essence. And therefore, what the paragraph majorly focuses on becomes the obviously heading of the paragraph. And then it's quite easy to look heading after heading and look for the paragraph which it corresponds to.
So basically, you are summarizing the paragraph
Right.
and making it concise into one sentence, and then figuring out what the heading is. All right.
Precisely.
And my third type of question in reading, in which the people really struggle, is multiple choice questions.
Right.
Tell us your strategy about it.
For questions like multiple choice, again, my goal was for the skimming method only. I looked for the specific question that is being asked in the question paper, and again, looking for the keywords corresponding to that particular question. It was that in my case, I didn't really get much multiple choice questions, but it was my go-to plan for every single occasion I got such type of questions.
All right.
Again, finding the keywords and looking what answer they correspond to.
All right. So now let us proceed on to speaking. When was your speaking? Before the examination or after the examination?
It was a week before the examination.
So was it a physical speaking or a virtual speaking?
A physical face-to-face speaking.
A face-to-face speaking. How was your examiner?
My examiner was quite decent, actually. She was very polite and she was very understanding that it may be uncomfortable for a person. Though for me, it was quite a natural experience to talk to somebody and express my views given my practice at the institute. But it went on quite smoothly, I would say. There were not many disruptions, and yeah, that's it.
All right. So what was the topic that was asked? The topic of part 2?
The cue card that was asked from me was about an Indian personality that is famous worldwide because of their work or fame, whatever.
So what did you speak about?
I spoke about Mystic, an Indian mystic. He's quite popular on YouTube. It's Sadhguru. I really like to watch the man's videos because his take on matters that are metaphysical and intellectual, it's quite sensible as compared to other people who are just spilling out gibberish about such matters.
So you talked about spirituality as well.
Yeah, I talked about not spirituality in the essence, but yeah, it was part of my speech.
How long was the speaking?
My speaking lasted about 10 minutes. It was just like there was not much counter questioning because I felt like the teacher was quite satisfied with my answers and there needed be any further probing into my thoughts and ideas for her to listen to me speaking English in a more precise manner.
So Amar, do you think you could have scored 9 in speaking?
Yeah, I believe, because there was this instance at the end of the discussion part where I didn't quite straightforwardly answer the question of the examiner. She asked me about if the influencers who are actually having people under their control, be it on social media, they should be an embodiment of what they preach. So I went giving an example about surrogate advertising that is being done on. I essentially gave 40% of the answer in line with her question, and 60% of my answer was about my example only. So I think that went offbeat.
Wonderful. So now what are your future plans?
My future plans are pursuing a higher course in my commerce field because that's something I'm really good at. It's going for higher educations in Canada mainly.
Do you prefer Canada or America?
I prefer Canada because I have more relations there.
Perfectly fine. Okay, so now we open the house for discussion and the question answer round. So if anybody wants to ask a question, they are requested to type in the chat box so I can repeat the question to Amar and he can give an answer to that.
Sure.
So you have a lot of wishes and a lot of love pouring out here. If you can see the chat.
Thank you to everybody who has joined.
So my first question that I can see here is by Rajdeep Singh. He is very keen to his things and he's the person for it. Congratulations, brother. Okay. I want to ask a question from you. Mohit Sharma, please ask your question. There's a person, I cannot read the name, RASDCE. How much did you study for it?
Um, I'll be telling you the true story of me studying for IELTS. It was essentially meant to be a backup plan for a competitive exam that I was preparing for. It was the National Defense Academy exam. But later on, the family decided that it may not be as beneficial as pursuing a higher study and abroad and getting a good pay job after that. So they decided to not let me go into that NDA exam, and I had my complete focus on the IELTS exam instead. And after that, if we talk about IELTS, everywhere Webberz was the best buzzword. So I joined the institute for 2 months, as I said, and that was the course of my study. I didn't study anything else apart from that.
All right. My next question is from Rohini Sharma. She says, can you please share your daily schedule for IELTS practice?
Um, that's quite amusing for a person like me because I didn't have a fixed schedule. I just went around with my whims. The areas I was weak in, particularly writing, as I said, I watched various formats on the internet. Various forums are available like IELTS, IELTSgo.com. I need not mention, you can just Google it. It was like I didn't have a fixed schedule. I'm quite a moody person that way. I wake up at whatever time I may feel like, and that was that. It was just like I knew where my weak points were. That was, I just told, in the formatting of the writing, or even if I sometimes was not able to come up with relevant ideas in my speaking as well, so I worked on those. There was no permanent schedule.
Right. So the next question which is coming up to you is, my question is, how did you improve your vocabulary? Because it is very difficult.
It is like vocabulary is not something you could separately work on. It's like I was, as I said, listening various videos on YouTube regarding my areas of interest and reading various articles, be it of Wikipedia or published by NASA, WHO, or various sites of other amusing topics as well, which I won't like to go into right now. But they offer quite a wide range of, as I said, exposure to the English language, and much of my vocabulary has just come naturally from those sources. It was not some specific practice I did for vocabulary. It's just a habit that eventually developed in me.
Okay, so you basically developed a habit, right?
Right.
Okay. The next question is, at what time do you sleep and wake up in the morning?
Well, as I said, that there is no fixed schedule. I just go according to whatever I feel like. It's just what I'm doing at night decides my time of sleep. If it's something interesting that I found on the internet, or just having a chat with a friend, or just stuff like that, I really go to sleep very late. It's about 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. And waking up at the mornings, you should have asked this question to my parents. They're really upset of me being late every morning. Right. So that's that. But on occasions, I do wake up quite early, even if I went to sleep late, maybe on occasion of some exams and all that stuff. That really pushes the button of waking up.
Right. My next question is, how did you not get nervous during the speaking?
It's how do I put this? I mean, it's not been a botheration at all. I didn't just get the time to be nervous. It's just that I was busy thinking about the questions she asked, and it was just that I don't really know the absolute answer to it. I just never felt like I was talking to a stranger. They're quite um, sweet people who are the examiners. I don't think there is any need to become nervous in front of them.
All right. Rohini Sharma is asking the next question. How did you prepare yourself for the cue cards? Because there are so many of them and it's impossible to remember.
Exactly. There is almost as number of cue cards as the books you scroll. So I didn't went through any of them. It's just that I learned how to make the cue cards myself. Instead of just having a fish every day, I just learned to fish myself, as the saying goes. It's just that I know how to prepare material. I know how to gather my ideas through obviously through the training that I went through. And that's that. I had quite a good amount of general knowledge through my reading and listening various stuff on YouTube and articles. So I didn't have any problem in ideas, but organizing them and speaking them is the only part that is left after that. So there is no need for me to remember. There was no need for me to remember any cue card, and that went smoothly.
Okay. Amritpal Kaur is asking you a question. Do you have any strategy for time management in reading?
Yes, as I just said, initially I was really slow at completing my reading task because it was not that I was not able to do the answers correctly. All the answers I did, they ended up being correct. But I was quite slow because I, as I said, went through the entire article again and again, looking for the answers for every single question. But later on, as I said, you just need to skim through the keywords, look at the question, what context it is pointing from, and that just makes the task really easy. You just get aware of the whole idea of the article, um, and you're able to find the answers easily. That's just the thing.
Wonderful. The next question is, did you have any help from your friends?
Yes, there was quite a lot of help from the friends. We sat together, gave each other speakings, and we looked at each other's pieces of writing, and we checked out some mistakes that were left out by any of us. So that was something that really made us look at our mistakes in a humorous manner. That is, it was quite easy.
So what you are trying to say is you had a cooperative kind of an environment rather than a competitive environment.
Exactly. There is no time for competition, and there is no meaning of competition in IELTS. It's just for assessing your proficiency in English.
Exactly. So you were pretty cooperative with each other. And I guess the rest of the gang must be scoring well too.
Exactly.
That's a wonderful thing. So do we have any more questions? Okay. A last couple of 2-3 questions from my side before we call it a day. Okay, Amar. So what was the best experience that you had in Webberz? The best part of Webberz?
Okay, the best experience in Webberz. So this was the time when I was quite low in my scores at all the modules because of certain reasons that my class teacher knows, and she was quite understanding of what I was going through, and she helped me come over it. She provided me with quite a good schedule to follow. I was not able to complete my tasks on time with while sitting with a group of people because that was quite distracting for me. So she made me follow a different routine as such. When the class was doing the reading tasks, I went upstairs for the speaking activities and my listening activities when the halls were empty. So that made me focus, and that really hyped up my scores because I'm not really a pub, people's person. I don't really, I'm at my best when everybody's around.
So
I
the
like to work.
customized routine was the best part of Webberz for you.
Exactly.
And what was the worst part of Webberz?
Um, do I have to mention it? I think there was no worst part. It
There
was
was no
all
worst
right.
part of Webberz. All right. Okay. Now my last question to you. You have this beautiful score. How did your parents react to you?
They were they're quite happy. I can't explain that feeling in words. They were like, having noticed the score of their other relatives who claimed, like, they were quite proud of me, and they felt like I've achieved something up. I've come up to their expectations of what they've taught me, that has come to some meaning, really.
So now do they tell you to get up early in the morning or not?
No, it's still, parents never change in that manner, sir.
That's
They're
true.
always like,
And that is why they're parents. That is why they're parents. That's
exactly.
true. That's true. Okay, we have one more question popping up here, and this is: would you recommend joining Webberz for IELTS?
I would, yeah, I would definitely recommend anybody who is a beginner in IELTS, and Webbers is quite a good place because they provide all the necessary resources to you for preparing for the IELTS exam and guidance where necessary. But it's essentially on the person. If they are comfortable with the resources at their home, that is from the internet, I believe that's the best option to go for them. But for a person who is really seeking guidance, I think Webbers is a good place.
Thank you so much. Okay, so do we have any other questions? All right. In case you have any questions, please give it to me so that I can answer them for you. And in the meantime, I'll thank Amar for joining us for this wonderful session. Thank you, Amar. Wishing you all the best. God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Take care of yourself. Thanks a lot. Okay, so that was Amar. And my tomorrow's session will be based on listening form filling. We had this session today, but we had to cut out the session because of a reason that we had Amar as an emergency person to be interviewed. Now the session has been postponed for tomorrow. And on Sunday, we will be having a session on speaking. That will be the predicted cue cards. So I thank everybody for joining this session. In case you have any other questions, I would request you to put them in the comment section and I'll be answering them personally for you. Thank you, Amar, for joining us. Good night. Bye-bye. Good night, everybody. Have a great day.